Recovery Shared, your online source for all things recovery.
Hello world, welcome to Recovery Shared. My name is Justin Sims, and I'm joined by the illustrious Michael Stone, as always. And today we're going to talk about something that I'm kind of just now getting introduced to, and it's sober coaching. So I don't really know what that exactly is, so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Now look, bottom line is, guys, whether you're in recovery or not, we all want to be the best version of ourselves we can be. We all want to become better people, upgrade our lives, get the better car, the better house, the better relationships, the better friends, do what we want to do, and really live our best life. So, whatever means necessary that you need to do to get to that place, we encourage you to do it as long as it doesn't hurt you or anybody else. So, not everybody's the same. So what works for Michael may not work for Justin and vice versa. So like recovery math really doesn't work all the time. 1 + 1 = 2 to him. 1 plus this 1 over here might equal 2 to me. So everybody's situation and circumstances is unique. So what helps somebody elevate to their higher level of self is different and unique for every single person. So what is the purpose of a sober coach? I looked this up, Mike. I got this research right here from a website called North Point Recovery. So that is our source for this particular information right here. The purpose of a sober coach is to serve as a bridge between formal treatment programs and the more informal support groups during recovery. It's also supposed to be like treatment centers. They've shown some successful results, but what does the addict do after rehab? Now, a lot of places will tell you, go to one of these 12-step programs. Most of the time, that's AA or NA. Or you'll hear things like, do, 90 meetings in 90 days. But that, like I said, recovery math doesn't work for everyone.
A sober coach, a recovery coach, may not be for somebody who even just got out of treatment at all. Maybe you didn't even go to treatment somehow. Maybe you just, relapsed and went to detox, and now you're back home.
Or maybe you've been in treatment for a long time,
and
you're just kind of hitting that, you're kind of plateauing out, and you need another little change up in the game to keep it new and fresh for you so you stay teachable. Here's some things that they say that a sober coach will do for you. It gives you a daily connection and a conversation with somebody in your recovery vision. That stuff is important for sure, because what does the disease of addiction want us to do? It wants us to isolate. It wants us to cut people off. That daily connection keeps you plugged in.
So now you got to be accountable for
for everything.
Yeah, because you're going to have somebody to be accountable to.
That's another thing that's huge that a sober coach will give you, is that daily accountability. So not only are you plugged in, but like Michael says, you also kind of not have to answer to somebody, but it does keep you in check. Yeah. Another thing that it does is a sober coach kind of is the bridge to other support groups. So let's say, for example, I've been to Buddhist, Buddhism 12. Seriously, I've been to 12-step meetings for Buddhism, where it's really interesting, and it was a totally new spin for me versus anything I'd see in the traditional NA or AA settings. And it was really cool to me. So someone like a sober coach will probably have those links and resources that normal people don't really know about. And then once they get to know their client, they can really give them specific stuff that they think they'll like.
So you don't have to be a 12-step recovery sober coach. 12-step may not be for you. So your sober coach has to be versed in all kinds of groups that are out there.
It's amazing that Michael, I think in 2019, if we asked the majority of Americans, and let's say majority of Americans not in recovery, if they suffer from depression or anxiety, what percentage would say they do? Probably a high percentage. So, we're hearing, like the Michael Phelps commercial that's out now, where he's encouraging people to get a therapist. It's not going to make you a worse person. So what Michael says, holds a lot of validity as far as everyone could benefit from a life coach. Everybody.
Unless you get a serial murderer posing as a recovery coach.
That's a whole nother video. Another thing that a sober coach can give you, though, is really, it'll give you goal setting and help you with healthy habit forming. So I know, like, for me, you know, I just got, I've got a little over 2 years in this better design of living, and I really didn't know how to do anything without the substance. So healthy habit forming is huge. Like, a lot of people think, how am I going to have fun now that I can't have substance? A sober coach is going to help you, you know, develop these new things that will carry through life. What?
You're not.
That's not true. Don't listen to him. But, you know, another thing that they do, guys, is they help with skill and coping strategy building. So a lot of things like, listen, I'm a drunk, guys. I'm a true drunk. So if I had any fear about anything, I drank. If I was I don't know, excited about something, I had to drink. I did not know how to cope by myself. I had to rely on what was in the bottle to help me cope. That was my coping. So I had to learn all over again how to deal with problems. And it's still a work in progress. I'll find times where I'm frustrated with a relationship or with my kids, and I go, and then I gotta go, whoa.
Right. So when you get out of treatment and you're 6 months or a year down the road, you're going to have problems come up.
Yeah, life comes.
Right. So your problems aren't going away just because you went to treatment or you're 6 months or a year.
If anything, the problems are going to come even more so, because how long did you put the problems off?
Right. So you have a sober coach, you have a recovery coach, you have someone that, you know, hopefully has answers.
Now I'm going to speak about the elephant in the room. And this is the first thing I thought of when I read all this stuff about a sober coach. And I'm sure there's a good handful of you out there that are thinking the same thing that I thought originally is, this sounds a lot like a sponsor.
True.
So what's the difference between a sponsor and a sober coach, right? Like, I heard this old timer in a meeting one time saying, I'll never forget this. The guy goes, and God bless him, he was one of those guys that when he raised his hand in the meeting, everybody, you know, kind of perched up like he's going to drop something, you know? And he was like the oldest guy in the meeting of old heads, you know? And he raised his hand one day and he said, recovery starts when your insurance runs out. And then he said, and the best therapist is a sponsor, and the best rehab is a home group. Now, I'm going to spin off of that, okay? Now.
So your sponsor is somebody that leads you through the book.
Through the steps.
The recovery coach is for your life. Although,
they're both for life.
The book is also for your life, but the recovery coach is not just someone who's going to be leading you through 12 steps in the whichever it is, AA or NA or whatever.
Well, check
which
this
is
out.
What a sponsor really is supposed to do.
But Mike, is that book written in the 1930s?
True.
Completely useful to me, the drunk in 2019. Some of it.
Well, yeah. Some of it.
Not all of it.
Right.
There's, you know, the world has changed. So the drug game has changed just in the last 5 years. Right. So, I mean, the world's changed, so some of these things are changing too. So, guys, a couple of the differences, though, that I found right out of the gate, differences between a sober coach versus a sponsor. Sober coach has formal training.
Right. Certified.
Certified by the state, formal training. They have to have a certain amount of hours that they, like, volunteer, like, there's just classes, certifications, a proven long term, if they are an addict, clean time, versus a sponsor where it's experience based. You don't really have to have qualifications. I've seen situations where the sponsee has become the sponsor because the sponsor really, you know, just all that kind of stuff.
So those people who, look, probably some people found a sponsor who's like the most awesome fucking person who can be your sober coach.
That happens a lot, yeah.
But for the most people and the majority of people that don't have that kind of luck, look, this is something that you could use for sure. I mean,
absolutely.
to me it is.
Well, this is what I see a lot too. A lot of the guys, and I can only speak for the guys because I'm one, and they tell you in the programs, guys stick with guys, girls with girls. So girl gets a girl sponsor, guy gets a guy sponsor, right? A lot of the guys that I know in the 2 big clubhouses that I go to regularly, it's the same dudes sponsoring everyone.
Right, so he doesn't have time for
That's what I mean.
40 fucking guys.
You're like, it's like a public defender.
Yeah.
It's like these guys should be walking into meetings with like those little like wheelie little like
a public defender.
like a public
Exactly,
defender with a
yeah.
file case of here's another. So you're like another number in a lot of these guys, and it's like you got to kind of fight to get an hour with them in a week because they're got 30 sponsees. So, I mean, are you another number? I would prefer personalized one-on-one stuff. I'd get the most out of it. But again, formal training here on the Sober Coach. This is just experience based on the sponsor side. Another thing that a Sober Coach has that a sponsor does not have is that they are updated on the latest innovations and like sobriety treatments. They're constantly having to keep updated because the Sober Coaches has to constantly, after a certain amount of time, like anything else, they have to renew their licenses.
Right.
So they have to constantly be up on all the new information that a sponsor may not be up on.
So now that you've got a sober companion, not to be confused with the recovery coach or sober coach. Sober companion, that's like a sober companion like goes to your house and sleeps there and like goes everywhere around with you.
It's like a safety net. It's like an insurance policy.
Yeah, that's right.
But to me, like, okay, let's say I have a sponsor and a sober coach. This is just for this guy, I would rather have a drunk that has more life experience than me and the sponsor, but again, he's another bozo on the bus like me, and then I'd rather have somebody state certified that's not a drunk, but knows about the drunk. Or both. In that person.
Right.
And if I'm rocking double fisting, the new form of double fisting,
yeah,
I'm going to become Justin 5.0 quicker than if I just went down one avenue, I think. Couple other things, guys, to think about, and this is from, this source here is from monarchshores.com, so if you want to check out any of the stuff that I'm about to say, check out Monarch Shores. But if you're fresh out of rehab, again, addicts are encouraged to go to attend one of the 12-step meetings. Like, go to NA, go to AA, do 90 and 90, get a sponsor, blah, blah, blah. Right. This is great advice.
So you need to make sure that, look, the sober coach and recovery coach is going to be, it doesn't necessarily is going to be a 12-step meeting.
And I wouldn't want it to be.
Type of a thing, because there's like other kind of stuff out there nowadays. You got other kinds of...
Well, look at it like this.
Things that are not 12-step meetings or not AA and not...
Mm-hmm. And there it is, the game. The game's changing again, like we were talking about before. But Mike, if you want to shed weight, you go get a personal trainer.
Yeah.
A personal trainer, the analogy is very true for what a sober coach is.
True.
But instead of shedding the weight physically, you're shedding the excess weight inside. And they say happiness is an inside job. This is like a personal trainer for your soul. Because like people say, like I came into AA for my drinking, I stay for my thinking. Right? Because I still have all the isms. Even though the alcohol has been removed, I'm still an asshole. I'm still a jerk. I still get irritable and discontent.
You need a recovery coach.
So, right. So I need a recovery coach to work on all those isms. So, again, guys, either way you choose to go, or if you choose to use both, which is where I'm leaning towards doing, none of it's going to work if you're not 100% committed. None of it. So,
True.
like, you've got to do your own wanting.
Yeah.
If Mike is like, let's say like him and I are brothers, and he's like the fuck up brother, and I can't just, God man, come on, why can't he get his shit together? I can want it for him all day. He has to do his own wanting. So, you hear all these families that they pay for all this stuff for the kid, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we've done this, and they've done this, and we've done this, and we've done this, and none of it's worked.
And a lot of times, treatment hasn't worked for you, and a recovery coach.
How many people have gone to multiple
come
treatments?
in and right. So look, there's multiple ways that recovery coach can help you.
I think it can only help, and I think this is the newest, most innovative way to make a successful life, and this is the new recovery way.
I think so.
And even for non-recovery people, I'll use my wife as an example. My wife could use a life coach. I love you, babe.
Yeah, they're kind of a life coach.
But it's like a life coach. She's not an addict or an alcoholic. My wife can have a half a glass of
You're in
wine.
trouble.
But I've been in trouble. But like my wife can have a half a glass of wine, and 2 years could go by. Are you kidding me? Like, that is not a drunk. You know, I would need the whole bottle that night, and multiple other things.
So if there was okay, now just to review on the difference. Like a sober companion is like someone who lives with you.
That's like a shadow while you around.
Right.
Like a safety net always.
Right. So his job or her job is to like follow you and go everywhere with you.
Have your back, basically. Make sure you don't
Right.
do something stupid.
So that would be like someone really fresh.
Extreme case, I would say.
Just stopped using like 30 days, depending on your financial situation. Probably like NBA stars could have a sober companion, like
Yeah.
live with them.
Because some sober
24
companions
hours.
are like $1,000 a day.
Right.
Like, it's
So-
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
So
of
if
them.
you're like, depending on your financial situation, sober companion is like, right, they just stay, they're like there 24/7.
But if you've got the means and it's your life at stake,
right.
by
if
all
you have
means.
the means, I think sober companion, and then
Go
you
for
like
it.
go to sober coach, which is a little less time involved.
See, I
More
disagree.
like
Why not
probably-
have the sober coach right from the gate, right in the
Well,
beginning?
yeah, both.
Because I think a sober coach could help you find the right sober companion,
Right.
help you find the right sponsor.
Right. So
You know, like the sober coach is like the guide.
what if you can
To
have
me.
so all right, so there is a new sober coach partnership, let's say,
Oh, this is the one that's coming
who
out.
has a recovery coach who also happens to be a CAP,
Oh,
which
wow.
is like one of the higher levels that works in treatment.
Yeah, this is someone that's qualified to basically be
Right.
a.
A therapist, a counselor,
They could be a
group
therapist,
counselor.
group, or one-on-one,
Right.
and they can also be. I think you could be a clinical director with that, too. So that's like the real hard letters to get in the recovery community. So if you can find a sober
Right.
coach with that,
So
I mean,
if you've got a recovery coach that is 7 years, 10 years in the clean, who's also a licensed therapist or counselor, or
Double-edged
let's
sword.
say one of that, or even a higher level.
Mm.
So this new recovery coaching partnership is made up of mostly people that worked in treatment centers that are now not working in treatment centers, that were the licensed therapists, the counselors.
it's like the A team. It sounds like.
Right, the A team.
And again, the good thing, guys, about a team like this that's coming, that he's talking about,
Right.
versus like if you went and found someone in the rooms, is that this is a proven track record here. You can literally Google these people. Probably you
Right.
could like read reviews on them.
So you can do your therapy. You can go. You have a therapist that you can talk to, all in one, as the recovery coach. in the
I'm
same
leaning towards
person,
that's the
really.
more benefit, because let's be honest, guys, and you, I mean, answer this to yourself as I do internally. How many times you've been sitting in a meeting and you're sitting there judging other people in the meeting, or you're judging what they're saying, or how many times have you heard somebody share, or you yourself have shared in a meeting, and you only do it because you want to sound cool, or you want to sound like you know what you're doing, or you want to sound like you've got this great recovery going on. How many of those guys are sponsoring people? I mean, literally, there's people leading, it's blind leading the blind. There's people that are leading people to the grave. I'd rather, I mean, this is your life, or your loved one's life. I would rather go with a proven track record. It's like, picture it like buying a car, and you ask for the Carfax. One place gives you the Carfax, no problem. Well, this is the history of the car. The other
Right.
place doesn't have a Carfax history.
Yeah.
Which car are you more comfortable driving on the interstate with your kids in it?
Look, we'll have information about where you can get the A-team recovery coaches on the recovery shared page.
And I pity the fool that doesn't look at the
Yeah.
A-team. You like that reference,
Yeah.
Mr. T? So guys, stay tuned. This is Recovery Shared, your online source for all things addiction and recovery. And guys, we're going to dive more into this, but we're going to bring in potentially some of these A-team players and kind of, that way you can see how much of an idiot I am when I'm next to a professional. So
next video will have the A-team players.
A-team, stay tuned. For Michael Stone, I'm Justin Sims. This is Recovery Shared. Guys, be good to yourselves.